silence, I'm just going to be calling people out. Because I know everyone's name, so I'll be calling people out. I remember in lockdown, I got a speeding ticket, and I was like, yes, it's going to be on Zoom. I can just sit back, do nothing. The guy the whole time just kept calling me out. So I had to stay engaged the whole time. So that's what I'm going to do with you, okay? So ultimately, and this is where it starts, ultimately everything that we're trying to do, like, we're trying to do one thing, and that thing that we're all trying to do is progress. Like, whether that's life, business, career, health, fitness, no matter what it is, progress is the thing that we're all trying to, like, get and work towards, okay? So when it comes to progress, ultimately, like, we set our own progress. Like, we decide what progress is. It shouldn't be based off something else. It shouldn't be based off what you see online or what you see on social media or anything. We decide what progress is. So just like when you're in here, we don't go lumping weights on the bars straight away. We don't go putting weights on the bars from the get-go. We very steadily build you up. So if it was a squat, we work on the technique of it, and then, like, sort of one session at a time, we very steadily build it up. And this is the point I want to try and get across in this whole talk, is that I want you to start with a very basic plan and then steadily build upwards from there, okay? So we're not looking for perfection in anything that you do. Anything in life, progress is the thing that you want, okay? So forget about perfection, it's progress that we're trying to work towards, okay? So let's see if these pens work. So the first, what I'm going to do in this talk is I'm going to sort of dig into each section. So there was 5 sections, and I'm going to touch on each one. I'm going to ask you questions, and most of all, I want you to ask me questions. And if I don't know the answer, I will go and find out, okay? And I'll get back to you. But so what we'll do, I'm going to touch on each section, and then I want you to answer these questions as I ask them, of course. And then it's your opportunity to ask me as many questions as you like. Okay, I might regret saying that. Ask me as many questions as you like, okay? So, first analogy of life, okay? So, the most important thing that will start you on the path to success and progress is why. Like, what is your reason why for wanting to improve your health? And if you do not know the answer, then everything's going to be hard from this point on. But if you know the reason why, so does anyone know their reason why they want to get fit and healthy? Don't make me call names out. Just shout out some of the things why you want to get fit and healthy or work on your nutrition. Lose weight, okay? Anything else?
The older you get, the weaker you get.
Okay, so like longevity then?
Yeah.
Anything else? Energy, I'm loving this, yes. Energy, what did you say then, Paul? Most importantly, living longer. So like, these are the reasons why. And the reason why, you need to know the reason why, is because there is going to be days, many days, when you don't want to eat healthy, or you want to just have a takeaway, which is nothing wrong with that, by the way, but there's going to be days when you just don't want to stick to the plan, but then you need to bring it back to the reason why. So I'm not going to ask you now, but like, Emma's was like, I think it was you that said it, weight loss? You said, yeah? So my question then would be to Emma, not that I'm going to do this to you now, but my question is, why do you want to lose weight? So really dig deep into the reason why. Like, what is the ultimate reason why, okay? So my first analogy. So this is, why? What? Why, oh, why? That's a good start. There we go. Right, so that is a mountain, by the way. I was never good at art. So this is a mountain, and this is you down here, and this is the goal up here, okay? So the ultimate thing here is that there is many paths that you can take to getting to the top, okay? There's many paths that you can take to get into the goal, okay? So let's stick to quite specific sort of nutrition-related ones. So there could be the one that's focusing on just your protein intake as that being the part of nutrition that you want to focus on. So let's say that just focusing on nutrition is like one of the plans that you're going to use to get you up to that goal, okay? So the second one could be tracking like overall calories to work up to getting towards that goal. And the third one, just because my memory is not absolutely amazing, I can't remember them all. And then the third one could literally just be as simple as working on habits. So let's say your third way of you getting towards your goal, so let's use the example of weight loss as the goal. You could have protein as the main one, or you could have, it was calorie tracking, or you could have like habits. Either way, if you stick to one of these, you will get to your goal, okay? But life doesn't happen that way. So what tends to happen when we get bored of doing something? We stop and we change the plan, okay? So you start doing protein for a little bit, and then someone, usually working in an office, starts to talk about this new diet that they've just started. Everyone starts laughing now because they can relate to this. So you look over there and you think, oh, that plan looks a lot better. That's getting results. And so what then happens is you come back down here again, and then you start again. And then what happens again? You get bored, the results don't happen, your expectations were too high, and the results don't happen as quickly as you like. You look over there again, and you think, oh, do you know what? I'm going to go back and I'm going to start that diet. So what ends up happening is that you get this far towards your goal. Whereas the reality is, what should you have just done here? And there's no wrong answers, by the way. So let's say you were tracking your protein as your number one goal. Life started to get a little bit hard. You might not be able to see the results. What would be the thing that you could then start doing based off tracking protein? Think about your goal. Perfect. Yes. So both those two examples are absolutely spot on. So one, thinking about the goal here, and the other thing is also working on the thing that you're already working on. So let's say you've been tracking protein, but you're not quite getting the results you were expecting. Don't go changing it to something else. Look at the overall protein intake that you're having and think, right, well, where could I get better at the thing that I'm actually doing currently? Because all you're then going to do is you're just going to go back and you're going to start something new all over again. So when the challenges comes up here, right, just how can I get better at this thing? And okay, the challenge comes up there. Okay, how can I get better at this thing again? And that could be over like a 3 or a 4 month period. But ultimately, you want to become the master of this one single thing that you're trying to achieve. This could be anything. This could be getting out and doing more steps. It could be gym related. But ultimately, like when you come across a challenge, when you want to stop and think of this new glossy plan that's just come up, or someone from work has told you, or a friend has told you about that's helping them lose weight, instead of just changing course and starting all over again, just look at what you're currently doing and then start working on that again, okay? So my point with all of this is no matter what, you're going to come across some sort of challenge at some point, but the plan is, the step then is not to then just change the whole plan and start all over again. The plan is to look at what you've already been doing and then keep building off that, okay? Speak to the trainers, ask us for advice. I think, not to tangent too much, but I think on the expectations thing, like when, open question and a show of hands, like when you first started here, did you have any expectations about how much weight you're going to lose? Like, did you know? So that can be quite an issue, because if you don't know how much weight you're going to lose, when you get on the InBody and you see that you've lost a pound of body fat, you don't know whether that's good or not. So what I'd probably say is you could ask the trainers and just say, how much should I expect to lose? So you can understand what your expectations is. Because ultimately, like, happiness will come from when your expectations are met. And if your expectations are too high, or you have no expectations, then it's probably going to work better if you've got no expectations, because no, it'll work better if you set your expectations, but at a lower level, okay? So that's analogy number one, okay? So my whole point here is that ultimately, all diets do work, but these stop working when you stop sticking to it. And that's when it tends to go a little bit off plan, okay? Has anyone got any questions or thoughts based off sort of what I've just said there before I go into the questions? Right, let's get into the questions then. Right, so these are your first few questions. So write this down if you haven't already. And again, I might ask people to give their input, but like, what is your reason why? And then what is the actual goal? And then the best question of all, what tends to throw you off track? Just give you a couple minutes to just fill those in. And then just write down the first things that come to mind, okay? I'm going to ask some people, though, on that last question, what tends to throw you off track. So I'll be very intrigued by that one. The other two, I'll keep them personal to you. So, What, someone give me their example of what tends to throw you off track when it comes to your nutrition or sticking to a plan?
Lack of sleep.
Lack of sleep, yeah.
Red wine.
Red wine, oh God, it's all coming out now. Okay, so lack of sleep. These are all linked together. Going on holiday, drinking wine, and then no sleep. That's, just don't go on holiday. I'm joking. So holiday, so that's like completely getting off plan. Wine, yeah, that makes complete sense. And then sleep. The sleep is because you feel like crap the next day, and then you'll want to eat more high calorie, highly palatable foods. Any other examples? Bad day, okay. Anything else? Stress at work. Can everyone relate to these things? Yeah, everyone nodded at the same time then. So like these are things that we all deal with. So for me, I would find what is the one single thing that you think throws you off track the most, and then I would make a little action plan for that. So if you have a bad day at work, like don't just sort of throw everything out the window. Has anyone ever had a flat tire before? So you know when you've had your flat tire, do you then go and pop all the other tires? You tend to not do that, do you? So when you have a bad day, don't throw everything out the window, pop all the tires and think, sack it, I'm going on holiday, I'm having wine, I'm not getting any sleep. Don't do that, because that's when everything just goes a little bit messy, okay? But this is the thing that I'm trying to make, this is the whole point that I'm trying to make with this, is that things will throw you off, but by looking at these questions and making you think, what are the things that are throwing me off track? When that thing throws you off track, you've already sort of pre-planned for it. Okay? So you can sort of see by this talk that I'm trying to do, it's not about how apples are better than chocolate or about how you've got to track your calories. It's not about that. A lot of this is to do with just like pre-planning ahead or having the mindset around like your goals and what you're trying to work towards. What is your mountain goal? What is your why? So before we go on to the next section, and again, anyone can ask me any questions on this if you do have any, but on question 1 and number 2, the what is your why and what is your mountaintop goal, next to those two, put why, question mark, and I want it, not now, but I want you to then dig deeper into those two answers that you're given. So if you put weight loss as your goal, why do you want to lose weight is what I'm trying to say, okay? So just literally for now, put why, question mark, and then come back to that. So for me, like this was the best. Like when I did the 5 videos, this was the best place to start because I wanted it. This was to set you up for you to understand that it is a long-term thing. You will come across challenges, but just stick to the plan that you've set out because you don't want to get a third of the way up to a plan and then just sort of stop it all, then start all over again because all you just keep doing is just stop starting. Does anyone do that? Yeah. I think most people will probably do that. Stop, start all the time.
I think mine's
Boredom.
I kind of push the rules about everything. As soon as someone gives me a set of rules, I'll do them and then I think fed up with that.
Yeah.
It's like coming to gym, it's probably the longest I've ever done.
But
Because I go, I'm not going to, but it's because you've got this, I can come any day I want and any time I want.
and it's also because you're seeing progress. So I was talking to Lucy about this the other day. Does anyone here get bored of the food that they eat? My question to that is, would you get bored of the food you were eating if you were seeing progress in how you were looking and how you were feeling? Yeah. Right. Well, that backfired.
You know what, I get bored and then I want something different. I'm a good cook and everything.
Yeah.
But then the fact of looking what has the protein in and what has that in and what's low in calories and what's got the carbs,
Yeah.
I then get bored.
Bored. Yeah.
Because I've already thought about it once. And
Yeah.
I want to do it again because I've got bored of that.
So that then is going back to the reason why. I think the reason here that people stick at it for so long is because they see progress in what they're doing. And that's my question why I was saying is that would you stick to boring foods if you were seeing the progress in what you were trying to do. So in that scenario, there's nothing wrong with mixing foods up, but just don't choose like what was a good meal for something that is completely the opposite of it. Like you can still have food that seems indulgent and not quite healthy, but it still keep you on play. What's that?
It's having that knowledge.
Yeah, it's having how to swap it. Someone asked me the other day about a diet plan. I don't think they're in here. They're saying, do you give diet plans out? Giving you a diet plan is no good because everyone's got preferences of what they like and what they don't like. So So yeah, so in that scenario, it'd be like, think back to the reason why that you started this. Like, what is the long-term sort of plan with this? And then going back to the wine thing, if you've had a bad day, or if you're like, on board, I'm gonna have a couple glasses of wine, it then affects your sleep, you then feel crap the next day, your training's not so good, so it's that knock-on effect as well. Right, so let's dig into this next part a little bit, okay? So the next one, this is where I feel like I'm going to get a few more questions. So the next one was around, it was around calories and macros. Now, where's my phone? So, there we go. Right, so, calories and macros. Right, so, I'm going to give you another analogy. And I think this will sort of really surprise you as well about the sort of stats around it as well, because I don't know if I touched on this in the video. So, let me start by saying about the fuel in the tank. So, imagine this is your tank, okay? So, let me just read off this. So, you all know that your body needs calories. I know that it sounds like I'm telling you how to suck eggs here, but like, your body needs calories to do things. It's not just that calories make you bigger or make you smaller. Your body literally needs calories to survive, okay? So just for your body to literally function, and when I say function, I'm talking like doing what you're doing right now, breathing, digestive system, your body is going to take up about 60 to 70% of your calories, literally just surviving, okay? Just surviving. So out of 100%, your basal metabolic rate is about 60 to 70% of your calories. Okay, so that's your first one. Your second one, has everyone heard of the word NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis, which is basically like the amount of it is the amount of exercise you do that isn't related to, the amount of calories you're burning that isn't related to the amount of exercise that you're doing. One sec. I'll explain that better. Yeah, so that's it. So it's walking, standing, fidgeting, and just basic daily activities, okay? So it's non-exercise related calorie burning is probably the best way I could describe it, okay? So that makes up about 15 to 20%. Put that down there. So call that NEAT. So the point I'm really trying to make here is that your body needs calories, okay? So that's NEAT. So, and then the other one is, did you know that your body needs calories to digest food? So this is the thermic effect of food, so TEF, and that makes up 10%. And then, I think that was your last one then. And then your last one is actually exercise, and that actually makes up 5 to 10% as well. Don't test me on these numbers to make sure it all works out to 100%. But that makes up about 5 to 10%. So my point being here is that most of your calories are burnt like doing just basic bodily things. Exercise doesn't really burn that many calories, okay? It probably burns in a workout about 400 calories or something. But your body needs calories to just to basically function, okay? So imagine, has anyone had a workout, and you've probably done it this week, has anyone had a workout when they've had a workout and they haven't eaten well that day? And when I say well, I'm just talking like haven't eaten enough. Show of hands? So literally like 90% of the people there. So that is literally because you just haven't fueled yourself for the day, okay? So that's basically, this could be first thing in the morning as well. I was having this conversation with someone the other day. They were in at, I think, the 7:15 session, but I think they ate at 6 p.m. And then I think they had like a banana at like 6:30. But that sort of works out that there was basically like a 12-hour gap of like basically no food consumption at all. And then you try and train at like sort of 7:15, and then you basically just got no energy in the tank whatsoever to train, okay? So basically what I'm trying to say here is that your body needs a certain amount of fuel to function, okay? So it literally needs carbs to get you through the session, because when you're training, you'll predominantly use carbohydrates. So, and then it needs protein to try and help you recover. So based off that second section, this is where it's going to test whether you've watched the videos or not. Based off that second section, does anyone have any questions around protein and carbs, as in the fuel you need to fuel your body? Come on, someone must have some questions about that. Yes, so if I could sum it up. So 6:15, I would try and make sure I eat the night before. So try and make sure that you have something sort of later towards at night. So obviously depending on how your day works, especially if you're working full time and you have children, it's obviously a bit all over the place. But if you can eat, let's say you eat at like 6, 7 o'clock, I would still try and have something later at night. And then first thing in the morning, if you can, I'd still have some sort of fruit, banana or something like that, okay? 6:15 and 7:15, I'd say, are pretty much the same things. Try and make sure you eat something first thing in the morning. 8:30, and especially 8:30 and 9:30, I would definitely eat something in the morning. Who here does the 8:30, 9:30 sessions? Do you guys eat anything in the mornings? Banana. So if you're coming, let's do this for example then. If you're coming in at 9:30 and then you have a banana, let's say you get up at like 6 o'clock, let's say, you have a banana, you're training at 9:30, then you probably haven't eaten since 7 o'clock the night before, you haven't got the fuel in the tank to get through the workout, okay? So the whole point of this is that you want to try and make sure you've got enough energy in the tank to make sure you have a really efficient workout. Has anyone tried like either fasting before a workout? Does anyone avoid eating at all before they come into the gym?
Yes, once, I would never do it.
Yeah.
Not this gym, but I would never not eat.
Quickly regret it, yeah. And then in the evening, you probably had it when you probably had a really crazy busy day at work, and you've completely forgotten to eat, and then you try and come in at 5:30, 6:30, and nothing happens. Really nothing happens, okay? Anyone relate to that scenario? Yes. I can completely understand. So, question here, does anyone know, actually you can write it down, do you know what your calorie and protein targets are? Like, do you actually know what you should be aiming for with your protein and your calories? And if you've watched the videos, then hopefully you should know. If you don't know, put no and find out what you need, okay? Because you'll find that on a lot of nutritional advice, they'll probably give quite high recommendations for protein intake, but you'll never see any recommendations for carb intake. And everyone seems to think that if you cut out carbs, you're going to lose weight. But all you're going to do is you're going to lose weight, but you're going to feel like death, okay? So has anyone done a very low carb diet to lose weight? And how did you feel, Pete? Tired, yeah, exactly. So it's like, and then you could say, well, go back to the reason why. But if you're feeling bad off it, then it's obviously not a good thing. But carb intake, especially around your workout, is really, really important. Trust me, you guys, when I join in with these sessions, they are intense sessions. I take so much rest when I go to the gym. When I come in here, I am gasping for air. So you've got to make sure that you've got the fuel in the body, the carbs, to make sure that you're training, okay? I want some examples now of what people have trialed and seen the benefit of what they've eaten before a workout, and they've seen a positive benefit. Has anyone ever actually just trialed and tested different things to see what works for their body? Right, so that's definitely what you need to go away and do. So make a note of that. You need to trial and test out what your body works well off. I generally train at 9:30 in the morning, and I know that if I have, it will be 4 30-gram scoops of oats, overnight oats. If I have that at, say, 7 o'clock, train at 9:30, I have the best workout, okay? If I've got no oats in, I've not prepared them, and I have some toast, I'll probably need to make sure I'm having it probably about an hour before my workout, because I've worked out that if I have a piece of toast, I can probably get away with a workout. If I eat nothing and just have coffee, again, I'm really struggling, okay? So I'd make a serious note on that. Trial and test different things, especially with carbs, to get you the most out of your sessions, okay? So that first one, do you know your calorie and protein intake? If you don't know it, put no, and then just put to make sure to find out what your calorie and your protein intake is. Has anyone got any questions around carbs, fats, proteins, calories in general on that section?
Yeah, Mark, if you're trying to, like, manage your blood sugars, So not overdo carbs. How do you balance that with needing it for a workout?
You diabetic?
No, but pre.
Okay. So let's touch on the sugar spike thing first. Anything can spike your sugar. You could have a protein shake and it could spike your sugar levels. But I feel like there's a lot of fear mongering around having something to eat and it's going to send you up and all of a sudden you're going to gain loads of fat. That's just not a thing. With weight training, this is why weight training is so important, because the more muscle you have, the more that your muscle can soak up the sugar, and then the sugar will get stored within your muscles. Okay, so that's why if you are, well, just you don't have to be diabetic, but if you're pre-diabetic, type 1, type 2, or if you're not diabetic at all, weight training is so important because the carbs that you consume in your diet, they'll get stored up in your muscles, and then when you come to train, you'll use that energy from within your muscles to then train. Unless you're literally doing it based off like a monitor that you've got on, so you can literally see the changes. For me, I wouldn't worry too much about it, because you need to see the changes to understand it, as opposed to just thinking, if I have a chocolate bar, my sugar level is going to go like that, I'm going to store loads of fat, because I think that's what you can read online or you can see online, that your blood sugar goes up and down like that, when it just doesn't go up and down like that, especially if you're weight training. So if I could summarize that in a couple of sentences, if you are pre-diabetic, I would speak to your doctor and then see about getting like an actual sort of patch so you can then test it out. But if you are weight training, like you are ticking off a huge box to like reducing the chances of like diabetes anyway. Give me more questions on proteins and calories and carbs.
Does it matter in terms of like the timing of it? So you know, like before you were saying at 7 o'clock in the morning you'd have the 4 scoops of 30 grams of oats.
Mm-hmm.
Would it make a difference if you'd had like a more of a protein-based breakfast and then 2 or 3 hours after you'd ate those oats? Would that be any different?
So in my scenario, I wouldn't do that, because I'd use the carbs for my session. Whereas if I had a protein-based breakfast, you don't really use protein to work out. You'll use your carbs to then work out. Do this test. Have a protein-based breakfast. You train in the evenings though, don't you? Generally.
Yeah, so when I spoke to Benedict, because got to the point where I sort of plateau with the weights and stuff, and I couldn't push anymore because I was just tired.
Yeah.
I changed it to having like, so I come to like the R4 or R5.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, a carb lunch.
yeah,
Right.
like 100 grams of oats or like,
Yes.
milk in it or whatever.
So in that scenario, that would work better.
Yeah.
So what Paul's saying is, in my scenario, I would have carbs at like 7 a.m. I would train at 9:30 because I'm going to use those carbs to get through the workout, to do the workout. In Paul's scenario, because he generally trains at like 4:30, 5:30, protein breakfast or a more protein, lower carb based breakfast is better, and then a more higher carb lunch would be better for him, because then he can use those carbs to then train in the evenings. Does that make sense? So in terms of timing for carbs, I think it's important, because it means that if you're training at 4:30, 5:30, 6:30, 7:30, you generally want to make sure that you're having some carbs 2 to 3 hours before you train. And honestly, this is my whole point about trial and error. See what works for you, see what doesn't work for you. Do it, just do it all the time, okay? Have something that's like higher in carbs for lunch, see how it affects your training. Have something that's higher in carbs closer to your workouts, see how it affects your training. Just test things all the time and just see. I think that's the best way you can find out, because everybody's body is different, and the way that they break it down, the way that your body functions off different fuel sources. So yeah, the way that you're doing it's spot on, because you're having the higher protein in the day and you're saving the carbs for then your workout in the afternoon.
Can you mix that up then? So on a day when you're not in the gym,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter.
Do you know your calorie intake? What you should be aiming for? So calorie intake overall is what's going to affect like your body shape. So for me, like I like to keep things super simple. Like I've got better things to be thinking about than should I have that on that day or should I have this on that day. For me, I'm just like, I will have food whenever I want to have food, but I always make sure it's fairly good food. So to go to your question, my honest answer would be, don't overcomplicate it. Like, just make sure that you have food that gets you through a day, that makes you feel good, then also be eating the right carbs and fuel to then get you through your workouts as well. So if you want to give me a scenario, what you're talking about, it probably might help me explain it a little bit better as well. So do you maybe want to give me a scenario?
Well, I tend to just generally eat the same
Yeah.
every day. So I'll have the same breakfast every morning. Certainly at work, I'll have the same like sandwich and
Yeah.
fruit and a yogurt. What I'm wondering, is that where I'm falling down? Because I'm having the same on a day where I work out, the same on a day where I don't work out.
I'm with you. So the calorie consumption overall, this is why it's important to sort of know what calories you should be aiming for, because it doesn't necessarily matter too much about like what the calories are, as long as you're sort of eating within it. So let's say, for example, on a non-training day, you could have lower carbs. On a training day, you could have higher carbs. So if you're, say, for example, like you love having carbs, I would generally try and have them on a training day, because it means you can have them carbs to use as fuel. It's probably the best response I could give you, to be fair, actually. So
My meal that is mixed up is my evening meal
Yeah.
that I would have after I train.
yeah.
So it does.
So what time do you normally train, Claire?
I usually train about 5:30, 6.
Half 6. Okay, so I would then, if you're having lunch, let's say you're having a sandwich, I would definitely have something between lunch and your training session that has to be carb orientated. So it could be granola, could be fruit. Probably wouldn't have bread again. I'd probably have something a little bit better. There's nothing wrong with having you could easily just swap your bread for like a sweet potato or something that's just quick and easy to do, or some sort of rice or something. But I definitely have something between, let's say you have lunch at 12 and you train at 5:30, I would definitely eat something in between there. Just something quick and easy, even if it's just like some fruit with a yogurt and like some granola or berries or something like that, honey, like those things. That gap between 12 and 5, you'll definitely want to eat in between there, yeah.
What about then afterwards?
I would just eat whatever your evening meal is then after it. I think when it gets difficult is when you train at anyone here train at 7:30? Yeah, so that's when I find it's probably a bit more difficult, because it's like, well, it's 7:30. Do I eat a proper meal before, or do I wait till I get after? Again, for me, when I play football at 7 o'clock on a Monday, so it's like 7 till 8, and then I'll eat a meal still later on. But then that just comes down to like your digestive system in general. Like if you can eat a meal at 8:30, 8:45, and then you sleep like a baby still when you go to bed, it's absolutely fine. I wouldn't eat like a full-blown meal before you come in here, because you'll just feel lethargic. Yeah. Yeah. Protein shake, just have it at any point in the day. Like it's not that. It's like there's when I about 15 years ago, there was this whole thing that was like the anabolic training window. As in like you got to have a protein shake within 20 minutes of your workout. It's a rubbish. Just have your protein shake at some point in the day, whenever you remember to. If you're driving home or walking home, I would just have it on the way back from the gym. Because for me, like if you're, let's say you do a 7:15 session, so you're out of here at 8 o'clock, you have a protein shake, you have a banana, you might want to sort yourself out for work, you might have to sort the kids out, but having like a protein shake and some fruit just sort of breaks that gap of getting hungry and kicking off because you've not eaten yet. But having just like a protein shake and a banana or an apple or something can just stop you from then becoming hungry. That will then stop you from then making bad choices with regards to like food, if that makes sense. Yes.
The late night snacker, as they call it.
Yeah.
9 p.m.
Yeah.
Meal time. What would you recommend having around that, if anything?
If anything, no. This like for me, I'm all about balance. Like, but what I think will help is knowing. Do you know what your calorie intake should be? No. That's what you need to find out, because let's say 2,000 calories. You might be eating 1,600 calories, and then that could still mean in the evening you can still have the things that you want to enjoy, that make up the extra few hundred calories. Like, there's nothing wrong with having biscuits, chocolate, crisps, these things that you enjoy, but if you're eating your whole day's worth of food, and then you're eating all the chocolate and the ice cream and everything on top, that's when it becomes a bit of an issue. Not that you have an issue with chocolate and ice cream. Maybe you do. But if I could sum up what I'm trying to say here is that, I think everyone needs to find out what their calorie intake is. On that 5-day series, there is a calculator. I'm pretty sure, and you can use the InBody as well to find it all out. Find out exactly what that is, and then, so, right, I'm gonna test you all. Based off, I think it's chapter 2. I think it is this chapter, actually. Based off that second chapter, it was all about, or was it one of the last ones? It was all about, like, how do you want to track what you're doing? Now, has anyone decided how they actually want to start tracking? As in, like, are you going to track one day a week? Are you going to track one meal every day to see what is in the calories that you're eating? Has anyone watched that chapter and thought, right, I'm going to start doing this? Lucy, you're nodding your head, so tell me.
So I've watched it and I've started tracking, I think yesterday and today on MyFitnessPal, and I've just got to do everything because if I only do one thing, I'm ignorant to everything else that goes in the mouth. So I'm all over it.
And you found it beneficial to do it?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So Lucy is an example of one way that you can track your intake. Another way of tracking your intake is just tracking, and you don't even have to use an app. I don't use an app. What you could do is just literally use a weighing scale and just weigh out your food. If you have the same food day in, day out, which most people do, it just gives you an idea of what you're eating. So what I'll do is I've basically just worked out like the what's in the calorie, what protein and carbs are in the foods that I'm eating. And then when it comes to having a chicken breast or when it comes to having 100 grams of oats, I know what's in that because I've just worked it out and it's dead easy to do. So my point being is that I would recommend to just find out what is in the food that you're actually eating, not from like an ingredients point of view. I just mean from a calorie point of view. Just find out the proteins that's in it, the carbs that's in it, because what you might find is that I imagine a lot of people in here have quite a low protein diet, and that could be one serious way to just start boosting that protein up that you'll just see quicker changes. Does anyone feel like they have quite a low protein diet? I would imagine. Well, there you go. You proved my point. But that's my exact point. Until you do it, you don't know how low your protein is. You don't know what you don't know, sort of thing. Of course you can. Yeah, so calorie deficit is basically to lose weight, and then a calorie surplus is how you gain weight. So a deficit is obviously you want to eat less, but you need to find out what you need to eat to lose weight. You can just work it out on a calculator, really easy. And then the second thing is you just need, my mountain's gone, but you need to know what your starting point is for you to then start working on that calorie deficit. You do not need to track every single calorie. You could literally just start by tracking one meal that's the same meal every single day, just so you have an idea of what you're actually eating. And then the whole point here is that you start super small and you just and then that's your progress marker then. You could track one meal a week. Start with that on a Monday, maybe not Monday, on a Tuesday. Track one single meal. Do that every single Tuesday. Once you've got that nailed down, maybe then start tracking the same meal on every single day. Do you know what I'm trying to say here? Is that if you want to lose weight, you need to be in a calorie deficit. You need to be consuming less than you're burning. Consuming less than you're burning? Yes, that's right. Consuming less than you're burning. But you need to, this is the goal up here, but you need to start super small to get up to that goal, okay? So don't now think, I've got to track every single calorie to lose weight, because trust me, you'll do it for a day and you'll never do it ever again, because it blows your mind. Touched on the all or nothing thing, Lucy. The all or nothing, yeah.
For everyone, but I don't do it forever because I'm not that consistent. But if I can do it for like, I don't know, a month or whatever, I'll eat just the same meal. If it works, then I won't need to do it all the time.
Yeah, so that's good though, because that means, right, I'm going to track for a week to find out what is in the foods that I'm eating. If the foods that I'm eating are within the calorie range that I need to work towards, great, you've worked out what to eat every single week, or give or take, without actually ever having to track calories ever again, as long as you then don't start layering loads more on top, like loads of peanut butter and stuff, and it just goes up and up and up. Right, what's the last part of these questions? So this has sort of led into the next part, to be fair. So on that section 2, what type of tracking or type of tracking or awareness method would work for you? So tracking your protein daily, tracking one meal, tracking a whole day, full tracking. So that's basically what Lucy's saying is track the whole week. So you've got all that information there to know what's in the food that you're eating, or just having an actual written food diary, old school, written food diary. I'd circle one of them. And the other question is, one small action to improve. This for me is exciting because it means you can get a better workout in. What is one small action to improve fueling your workout? So who was the example I just used? Who was it? It was Claire, that's it. So using that example of just making sure if you're training at 5:30, making sure you eat between your lunch and your 5:30 session. So that could literally just be one small thing. So just make a note of like one small thing. And if you don't know what that one small thing is, put some questions marks next to it so you know what you need to start working on. And to be fair, we've pretty much gone through the second and third parts there. So the section 3 there was, again, trial and error. How do you feel during and after your sessions? So again, using Claire's example, if she's had a lunch at 12 and she trained at 4:30, and then she eats something in between, see what difference your workout feels. Workout feels amazing. You have an even better workout. Mentally, you feel better. You've improved more in the gym. You sleep better. It's that constant knock-on effect like that, okay?
How much do you know roughly like before you do a workout, like you don't want to overeat carbs and feel like, oh.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll do like protein yogurt and like bananas and things like that, but it doesn't sound like it's enough. And you also like do oats and stuff. Oats sound like a really hearty meal, but then how do you know if I'm having too much or not enough?
So do you mean like in terms of like how your body will feel during the session?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I'm like 40 grams of it, I'm having more, like obviously you don't know the exact amount.
Trial and error. Do it tomorrow and then just see. Because, because you might find that you come in about 9:30ish normally, don't you? Yeah. So you come at 9:30. If you have something at like 7 o'clock, like you could prepare overnight oats the night before. You know those 30-gram scoops that you get in like a protein pack? Like I just live off those things. Like the literally the 30-gram scoops that you just get in like a protein, like a whey protein thing. I just use them for everything. Rice, oats, anything. I literally just use them because it's just like 30 grams, 60 grams, 90 grams. It's just easy to do. So what I would do is just literally on your question there is I would just maybe just start off, do 2 scoops, so 60 grams of oats. And then I would just have that in with some overnight oats because I live off overnight oats. Have that with overnight oats and then just have that first thing in the morning and then just see what benefit you feel. If it feels heavy, just don't have as much. Try it the next day. If it feels good, right, there you go, have that much. But like it's got to be a case of you've got to find out basically and see what works for you. Any questions related similar to what Hayley's asking?
Not all that, but supplements.
Yeah.
I take creatine, I think it's the best thing ever. What else would you recommend?
Creatine and whey protein. They're the only things that I have. Creatine, whey protein, and you could bloody go down rabbit holes of like fish oils and stuff like that. But honestly, creatine and protein are the two things that I would highly recommend everyone to have creatine. It's the most, Adam was going to do like a real like deep dive into it. Creatine monohydrate is like the most highly studied supplement ever. And like it, honestly, in my time as a trainer, it has progressed massively because 10, 15 years ago, it would just be big, massive guys. They'd be like, oh yeah, I'm having creatine. Now it's just like people like us, normal everyday people that have it because it's got so much benefit. Creatine, the way it works is that it just basically helps your body to have more power. Lucy, has been saying like mentally, especially with like menopause and brain fog, massively help with that as well. It'll give you more energy in the gym. You won't be buzzing around in the gym, well you might be, but you'll just feel like you have more recovery time. And is anyone else supplementing with creatine in here? And what benefits have you felt, if any at all?
Started a few weeks ago, but I feel like I've got more energy.
More energy physically in the gym or just in life?
Both.
Both, yeah. Okay. And then, same. And obviously that knock-on effect then is that like if you feel, this is exactly what I just said 2 minutes ago, if you have a really great session, you go home buzzing, you're in a better mental state, you eat better, and it's that constant knock-on effect. Creatine monohydrate is super cheap. Just literally, I would just recommend to use it, to supplement with it. 5 grams a day, and I just have it in my protein. I actually have it with my oats. Lucy puts it in a cup of tea, which I find a bit weird, but I won't go that far. But creatine monohydrate, 5 grams a day, and you're laughing. Protein, whey protein, you're pretty sorted with as well. For me, I try and get like the best quality one, purely because any cheap ones, my stomach is like churning off it. What's the one I use? I think, is it Optimum Nutrition, I think? I feel like it's gold standard Optimum Nutrition whey protein. And again, just have that at any point in the day. It doesn't matter at what time, just have it at whatever time is convenient for you.
What about pre-workout? 'Cause I'm not on the fence with that.
No, don't. Like it's like to have a coffee will do you perfectly. To have like 200 milligrams of caffeine in one hit is you should be fine, but it's probably not the best thing to do. So you shouldn't eat it. The thing is, if you're sleeping well and you eat well the day before, you shouldn't need to then be having pre-workouts.
But do you think about magnesium then? I don't know if it's
Yeah. Do you sleep well already?
I was doing, but I was not.
But so I wouldn't look at, if you weren't sleeping well now, I wouldn't look at supplements. I'd look at what's changed in your day, whether that's children, whether that's work, whether that's life. Are you eating enough? I wouldn't just jump into, I'd be like, right, well, what's changed for me to then feel like this sort of thing? Are you fueling your training enough? One thing to test around. Yeah, so they're all similar questions. So the last couple of points then, really. Accountability is like, there's so much information out there, ultimately. Like, you could literally find all the information you need, and especially with AI and ChatGPT, you could get the most personalized diet plan ever right in front of you within 2 minutes. But none of that will matter if you do not implement it. So, being here at Benchmark, you pay Benchmark to implement this. So, who does regular one-to-ones with the trainers? Oh, that is disappointing. All of you guys need to do more regular one-to-ones with trainers. The whole reason why we do the one-to-ones is so that you get specific support, like tailored to you, okay? If you have preferences of which trainer you'd want to see, just speak to the trainer and just say what day you're in and I'll book in with you. Everyone might work better with a different person. But 100% book in with one of the trainers and just start to speak to them about like what it is that you want to work on and what you need help with. That is the starting point of accountability to start doing more regular one-to-ones with trainers. The other thing as well, and it's probably touched on what Lucy was saying, the accountability could just be tracking the food. That could literally just be your accountability. Because a lot of people's accountability here is just booking into sessions. That's your accountability. Has anyone got any thoughts on what has kept them accountable and what success they've seen off accountability? Has anyone got any examples with food and nutrition? Well, yeah, having friends as well, or partners that can help you out. Anyone? So my question is, has anyone seen any joy, progress in some sort of accountability around nutrition or diet or health in general?
I find if I do a morning class or for lunch, I am much more productive in work.
And you probably make better food choices as well then, yeah. Like a better life. So in that scenario, if you can't always get in to the gym in the morning, but you know by doing exercise, it sets you up better for the day, just see where you can fit exercise in the morning then. Like if you physically can't come in the gym, but you know by coming in the gym in the morning, it sets you up for a better day, I would just be like, right, I'm just going to get out on a 20-minute walk or something and just set me up better for the day as well.
I have one-to-ones with Adam.
Yeah.
Every few weeks, and knowing that I've got to come and see him and tell him if I've done what we said we were going to do or not.
Yes.
Makes me more aware of what I'm doing.
Can anyone else relate to that that's doing one-to-ones? Yes? Thank you. That's my whole point. Like for me, the sessions are the the bedrock of the membership and the program. The one-to-ones that, for me, are becoming that as well. And like, in complete honesty, if you feel like you've done one, if you don't feel like you quite got the right support, you might be better off going with a different trainer, because each person will probably work better with a different person, and that is absolutely fine. Because ultimately, if you feel more comfortable with one trainer, you're gonna get more out of each other if you've got to know that trainer better. So what I would say on the one-to-one front is, if you have a trainer you'd rather work a bit close with, like sort of nutrition and diet-wise, when you see them on the gym floor, just say to them, what day are you in, and just get booked in. I don't do one-to-ones, by the way, so you can't do me, unfortunately. But the trainers are much better than me anyway. So one-to-ones are like super important with accountability. And obviously, if you have any questions, anything I've gone through, please speak to me or WhatsApp, because I'll respond back to all those anyway. Hydration. Who doesn't drink enough water here? Flipping heck, right? Right, so if you buy one of these bottles, this £12, 2 of these and that's your water sorted for the day, okay? Not even lying. Just drink more water. I don't know how else better to say it, but if you suffer with headaches or like poor digestion, or just you feel tired, lethargic, not sleeping well, look at your hydration, because if you Google what the stats are on how much your body relies on water, you'll be shocked, because about 90% of your brain is water. It's between about 70 to 90% of your brain is water. Your muscles contain water. Every single one of the cells within your body has water in it. So if you're dehydrated, you're going to have the negative effects of that, okay? So if there was one simple thing you could start doing as soon as you go home today, is to drink more water. Has anyone started drinking more water and magically they start feeling better? Has anyone noticed that? Yeah. Well, there you go. Drink more water. This is my whole point of like, you don't need to even start tracking your calories. Just start by drinking more water. You'll feel better. You'll probably sleep better. You'll start making better choices. So, hydration. And then, right, the most important thing, and then I'm going to wrap it up because that has been up to 1 hour now. So I want to keep it under an hour. What is the one action? This for me is the most important thing, and it is, what is the one action you will take this week? And when I say this week, I mean tomorrow. What is the one action you will take tomorrow? And it can't be a hard action, because you need to be able to action it tomorrow, okay? And then I want some people to share what their one actions are. So Lou, I'll start with you. What's your one action? We've got 3. There's always one. Go on then, give me some.
Creatine.
Yeah.
Drink more water, and we're going to plan our food better.
Okay. Drink more water though, you have to decide how you're actually going to do that. Because it's like saying, imagine you want to earn more money. I'm going to earn more money. Okay, how are you going to earn more money? So the water thing, how are you, don't answer me now. Oh, there you go. Yes. £12. Anyone else? Yes, there we go. Anyone else? Protein, but not up the protein. Find out how much protein you need, and then how you're actually going to factor it into your day. So if you want to get active, it's not get active, it's right, go for a 10-minute walk. So up the protein, yes, but then it's right, how much protein do I need, and when am I going to eat this protein sort of thing? Make it super specific. Leanne, I'm going to ask a couple more, because I think these are good.
So I'm going to plan my problem's at work, because I have...
You're a teacher, yeah.
Yeah. So when I'm coming at the half-4 session, I probably need to have a pre-workout, something to eat like then.
Yeah.
Carb-based, and then probably after, because I'm then going home to cook, have like a protein shake.
Add a banana or something.
Me just then eating.
Yeah.
Picking and doing the hangry thing.
So what's important is that you understand what I said it on here somewhere, I don't think I did put it in actually. No, yeah, it's there. What sends you off track. So if you know what sends you off track is getting home, you're super hungry, right, I'm going to eat everything I can see in front of me. Or worse, there's nothing in the house and I'm going to go food shopping, I'm going to buy every single thing I can. Yours could literally just be, right, if that sends me off track, just make sure I have some fruit and a protein shake when I come out the gym, because that'll settle me for a couple hours before I then need to eat a proper meal. Eve, what's the one thing?
I'm going to drink a large glass of water before I have a cup of tea in the morning.
There we go. Super specific. I like it. Haley? The one thing that you're going to start working on tomorrow. I'm going to ask for one more.
Tomorrow, I'm going to do an online food shop and get some food prepped.
Sounds good. Julie, what's the one thing?
I'm going to eat carbs at lunch because I tend to eat protein.
Okay.
And I do an evening workout and I've just realised now I'm doing it wrong.
Yeah. So on that scenario is that you've got no carbs in the body and then you're trying to train and you train well, but you're probably super fatigued by the end of it. And then you probably do what Leanne does, which gets home, fuck, I'm starving. I'll eat anything now at this point. And it's usually chocolate and crisps and biscuits and cake and ice cream. Fuck, I'm getting hungry now. Right, last one. Rory, tell me.
I have no idea whether I'm eating the right amount of food, so just tracking it.
So your starting point is finding out how many calories you need.
Yeah.
So finding out exactly that, okay? So what I'll do now, because that is bang on 8:30, and everyone wants to go home and eat and drink. What I'll do tomorrow is I'll put out a post in the Facebook group, and I want everyone to comment saying what is the one thing they're going to start working on tomorrow, okay? When you see me in the gym, I don't want you to come up to me and say, Mark, that talk was really good. What I want you to say is, Mark, I've been tracking my food, and I'm feeling better off it. If anyone says to me, this talk was good, I don't want to hear it. All I want to hear is, Mark, I took the advice from the talk, and I've implemented it. Okay? You can give me compliments, of course. And these bottles are £12 again. Right, thank you very much for joining us. That is all.